On Maryland's Chesapeake Bay, these farmers traded in their tractor for a boat with an ambitious plan to reintroduce a long-lost Maryland seafood species.
So this morning we're going to come out here and we're going to check some of our bay scallops.
Eastern Shore native Matt Holloway was in the sod farming business for 20 years.
I read an article about the bay scallop history in the Chesapeake Bay, and it talked about the storm that came through that wiped out all the submerged aquatic vegetation and basically ruined an industry.
Maryland had a thriving wild scallop population until the 1930s. But this aquaculture farm has brought them back to life.
This spot geographically for us in the Chesapeake Bay, just on the outskirts of Assateague, actually we can hear the ocean right now. I knew that this bay has high salinity, so if it was going to work anywhere, this is a place to try it. Yeah, are those lantern nets?
He teamed up with childhood friends Bryan Dickey and Lee Beauchamp, co-founding Baywater Seafood.
We all grew up together, fishing and hunting and sailing on the Eastern Shore, and now we're all starting a business together at 40 years old. So.
Claire joined the team as a marketing and environmental expert.
VIMS is the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, and we're trying to rehabilitate the populations, and we get spat from them, which are our baby bay scallops, in exchange for kind of research assistance.
Ideally, you should be able to get these things from spat up to a sellable size, which is about 1.75 to 2 inches in 3 to 4 months. As far as aquaculture goes, we're about the only ones in this region for sure. Because of that, there's really not a book on how to do it, so we're still developing the process.
This rig, Lee has done a lot of the engineering work, so this is all custom fabricated for us.
Lee, who is serving overseas with the National Guard, developed this unique system for harvesting.
He did research and he found these lantern nets, the way they were using them over in Asia. They're used in deep water over there to grow sea scallops mostly. So we've modified it to our shallow water system here. We had these custom made and shipped over.
There's 7 layers. They hang in the water vertically like this, but there's a metal frame in each layer to keep it open, and the webbing retains the scallops in there.
We get them when they're young, they're at higher densities, and then we start to thin them out each time that Bryan goes through them, power washes and cleans them. 1 net might turn into 3 nets, and then 3 nets might turn into 10 nets by the end of it.
The scallops are transferred to aerated waters to keep them fresh. They're then placed in the trommel to be sorted by size. And go through an additional hand-selecting process.
For us, this is about 1.75 inches.
The smaller scallops will go back into the nets to continue growing and contributing to the bay's health.
It's really kind of cool to watch it form a whole ecosystem around our lease site. It's pretty neat.
We have a pair of kingfishers that like to nest over here. Very fun to watch.
With a background in environmental education, Claire's role goes beyond marketing and sales.
So bay scallops are really cool because they're very mobile. They move because of their eyesight. So they've got up to 80 sets of eyes.
These blue iridescent eyeballs are all around the mantle of the shell, giving scallops an almost 360-degree view.
And they use jet propulsion to move around. When they sense danger or they sense a good place to hide, they will shoot water out either side of the back of their shells and be able to move around.
Like oysters, scallops are bivalve species, meaning they have an inhalant and exhalant valve that ingests algae and other toxins as their food source.
The more bivalves we have, the cleaner our water is going to be. So it's really important that we give just as much attention to them as we do oysters because they filter about the same rate. Because we work with the Virginia Institute of Marine Science and they look at bay scallop mortality, their growth rates, kind of figuring out what's the best way to rehabilitate bay scallop populations. And we get spat from them, which are baby bay scallops, in exchange for research assistance. So we'll take some measurements for them. So when you buy bay scallops from us, you're not only helping a local business, but you're also buying in one of the more sustainable ways you can when it comes to proteins.
When preparing an order, each scallop is inspected and cleaned by hand.
The main thing we're doing here is getting any biofouling off, so worm coral, barnacles, and then we're also checking to make sure that they're not hollow. Sometimes we find them hollow.
They're power washed, then packaged and shipped on ice and out the door within minutes, where they are prepared at local restaurants like Oaked 110 in Snow Hill, Maryland.
It's a replacement for a little neck clam in any dish you want to use, but it tastes way better. The texture is more like a lobster type texture. The flavor is sweet. I guess scallops in general, especially sea scallops, have kind of gotten a bad rap recently because 90% of what you eat is not an actual scallop. Most of it is a fish meal or fish paste that's formed into the shape of a scallop. With ours, there's no question about if they're real. You're eating the entire thing. So if you have any question about your food security, we definitely, you're not getting anything fake from us.
Thanks for watching Maryland Farm and Harvest. We hope you liked the video. Make sure to subscribe so you won't miss out on future videos. To learn more about our show and watch full episodes, check out mpt.org/farm or just click the link in the description.
Stream anytime, anywhere with the free PBS app.